Broadcasting live. It's America's longest running talk show on computers. It's Computer America, bringing you the biggest names in technology with guest interviews, new products, and your emails. Listen live at computeramerica.com on any device around the world. Email the show at live@computeramerica.com or find us on social media. Be sure to check out our website for contests, giveaways, show notes, live video stream, podcasts, and more. You're listening to Computer America.
Hello and welcome everyone into the Computer America Show. We are the nation's longest running, nationally syndicated radio talk show on computers and technology turned podcast. Everyone, welcome back into the program. Today on the show, we have headlines, and this is going to be sandwiched between a number of interviews that we have done today. But everyone, we want to make sure that we stay up on the news. So we're going to keep this light, short, and quick. Hopefully, everything should, just flow pretty naturally. But if you want to find out more about any of these stories and more, and of course, what we're up to, computeramerica.com. There you'll find the live video stream, you'll find the podcast, you'll find articles, reviews, show notes, all that and more. Pretty much everything that we do is centered around our website. Go ahead and check that out. Now, with that being said, if can't really think of anything else off the top of my head, let's go ahead and get started with computer and technology news, brought to you by Computer America. So our first story has to do with laptops. And if you've ever shopped for a laptop, one of the things that you really want to make sure that you do before you hit the checkout button is, how many ports are there? Are there 3 USB-Cs? Are there 2 USB-As? Is there an HDMI port if you want to connect an external monitor? Laptops are getting thinner and thinner, and they are losing more and more features, much to the, kind of detriment of everyone. Well, someone decided to take it to the next level, and I don't think this thing even has a charging port. Check this one out. It's a 7mm thin, and 7mm is very, very thin. It's a laptop with no ports. Yeah, not a power port, not an HDMI port, no USB-C ports. This thing is just tiny. So this is from a company, you can see that there on the video screen, this one from Ars Technica, saying that, as laptops are becoming thinner and lighter, they have made sacrifices along the way. Now you, of course, have a Crabx laptop. It takes minimalism to a new level and has 0 integrated ports. So no USB-C, no USB-A, nothing, nada, absolutely nothing. So they claim to be the world's first portless Ultrabook, and the website provides limited information about the laptop and nothing about the company itself, which is true. This is something that I've never heard of the company myself either. There's no release date beyond a vague coming soon advertisement. Overall, there's very little detail, and 2.755 inches actually sounds way too big. 7mm 2 inches, 0.275 inches. So this thing is just about 1/4 of an inch thick, and that's remember, that's closed. That's lid, that's body, that's keyboard, that's battery pack, that's everything all together. 0.2755 inches. Thing's really incredible. It weighs just 2 pounds, and of course that'd be pretty impressive even compared to other lightweight clamshells measuring just 0.58 inches thick and weighing 2.64 pounds. That's the Dell XPS 13, is 100% thicker and 40% heavier than the claimed measurements. Now, when you think about that, that means weight has a direct correlation to one very important thing. And that very important thing is that batteries are heavy. And if this thing has almost no weight to it, I'm guessing there's almost no battery life to it. And that could be its own problem. But At least they do claim it's an Ultrabook, so it's not going to be high performance, not going to be able to play the latest video games. So maybe that, maybe you still might get some kind of reasonable battery life if you do something like light web browsing or maybe watch a movie. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see. You can presumably use Bluetooth to connect peripherals to the device, but the site does not address the laptop's Bluetooth capabilities. Sounds like this is a very speculative, project. And I'm curious how good it actually is. And for everyone watching the video portion, you can kind of see the charger there. It has a MagSafe charger that plugs into a wall outlet, or I think there are some other USB-C, kind of things. And yeah, it latches onto the back. It using magnets, latches onto the back and charges the battery that way. And then on that port itself, the charging cable, quote unquote, also has a number of ports, as well as a micro SD, or I should say an SD card reader. So if you want ports, it's on that attachable charging magnet type deal. So yeah, it's something pretty crazy. The laptop claims to use Intel 12th Gen Alder Lake mobile CPU, and so more specifically, the chip runs at 1.8 gigahertz speed, very, very slow. 6 performance cores going up to 4.8, but even so, still very slow. They also have 32 gigs of RAM and 2 terabytes of PCIe 4.0 SSD storage. So, I mean, it's an Ultrabook. Has some pretty impressive specs, even though, this is going to be a very niche. It would be a first to see something this small, and I have a feeling that if it even comes out, because it's from a company that we don't know, we don't have a release date or anything like that, we only have these kind of mock-ups. If it comes out, it's going to be very expensive because the form factor is very novel. So there you have it. It's an incredibly tiny laptop, and like for everyone bemoaning the loss of like the 3.5 millimeter headphone jack, man, we are so far past that. We have lost every port known to man with this particular device. So the future, maybe. Is it here yet? Absolutely not. So we'll have to wait and see. That's our first story. Our second story, check this out. We'll just do a brief highlight. You can check out more in the show notes, but Mike Peterson over at AppleInsider kind of detailed the story where someone had defrauded Apple. And what this was, there was a gentleman who came over from China in 2013, got a master's degree in electrical engineering, I think was the degree. Either way, smart guy, got a degree, got a job. He was gainfully employed for 3 years, but then during those 3 years, up until just recently, he had imported counterfeit Apple iPhones into the country. They had used some system to give these counterfeit Apple products authentic serial numbers, and then return them back to Apple to say, hey, these are still under warranty, they don't work, we need them replaced. And then he would take the replacement phones that Apple would send them, which at this point numbered in about 1,000 different iPhones, and sent those back to China to be sold on the black market. This was, and to get this done, he had recruited his wife, he had recruited other nationals, he had recruited a number of people to do this, and some people are rightfully pointing out, over 4 years, $1 million with multiple people, not the most lucrative kind of operation they had going on, but $1 million is $1 million, no matter which way you cut it. And Apple, I'm sure, would be very interested to hear, kind of how he had gotten this done to make sure this would never happen again. But he was caught. The judge made him give up 2 of his condos, $1 million in restitution, and $1 million more in penalties. And of course, he's already served 26 months in prison. To everyone saying that this is a slap on the wrist and crime does pay, I mean, Obviously, if they think they're going to get $2 million out of this guy, probably not. He's going to be deported back to China and they'll never get another cent from him again. But this is not a victimless crime, and this is not a crime that, the punishment was not zero. It's just not really enforceable. So you can't really blame the judicial system for going lead on this guy. He was taken for everything they probably could get out of him, and they're not really going to be able to get much else out of him. But still, $1 million fraudulently claimed from Apple. I thought that was a very different kind of story. Okay, real quick, we have an update to a previous story, and it had to do with a YouTube channel that catered to people who really enjoyed Nintendo music. Now, Nintendo makes very iconic, music for all of their games. I'm sure that everyone has their favorite Zelda tune, everyone has their favorite Pokemon song, everyone has their favorite Mario theme song. I mean, yeah, they're very iconic. They don't make it available in the easiest way. They don't really add it to Spotify. They don't have it on YouTube. People want to hear this stuff, and yeah, it's just not really that readily available. Enter a channel that for the past 10 years had been catering to Nintendo fans, had uploaded them, taken the time, I'm sure what was a sizable chunk of this gentleman's life to categorize about 4,000 different songs that Nintendo had produced. He is now essentially shutting down the entire channel completely because on top of the 1,300 channel DMCA takedowns that we had reported on just a couple of days ago, check this out. They have now received 4,000 in total. So 2,200, another 1,300, and then some more besides. 4,000 copyright strikes from Nintendo. And when you think about it, if he wanted to dispute these, first of all, he can't, because it very blatantly says, this is not my content, this is Nintendo's, and he doesn't really earn any revenue from this. Yeah, this is like a passion project, and Gilva Sunner on YouTube said that he's closing the channel completely, saying that there are many different options over what is happening, and that's fine. Opinions over what's happening, that's fine. I can understand pretty much all sides. I know this is disappointing to read for a lot of you, but I hope that you can respect my decision to want to move on at this point. Clearly, you might be able to fight, draw out some kind of legal battle between Nintendo and yourself. Seems very unlikely. Nintendo is notorious for being very protective of its IP, more so than a lot of other companies. So it's kind of sad, because I think this is the way that a lot of people really gained access to Nintendo songs, and Nintendo doesn't really have a good option to replace it. Much like Rover said in the chat, maybe Nintendo is creating their own YouTube channel. I think everyone would like that. Everyone would really appreciate what, Gilva Sunner has done. And if Nintendo wanted to take that down and put up something more official, I'm sure a lot of people would be very appreciative, so on and so forth. It's the fact that Nintendo is doing, attacking them now, even though it's been up for 11 years, and not having a good replacement. That's, I think, what is rubbing people the wrong way. So eventually, the company set up the Nintendo Creators Program, a program designed to ensure that videos featuring Nintendo's games were approved for publication. However, the company later shut down the program, claiming that it would give content creators more freedom in using Nintendo games in their videos, but posted strict guidelines for their usage. So that's where we're at. I think a lot of people would love if Nintendo would do something on their own, but until then, Nintendo's going to do exactly what they've always done, and that's be overly protective of their IP. So, okay, that was story number 3. Story number 4. Let's go ahead, and again, we're trying to keep this nice, quick, succinct. Let's talk about this one, and mark this up under stories that cannot go wrong. Supermarket cameras to guess the age of alcohol buyers. That's right. Maybe a little bit of special effects, some Halloween, maybe even a Halloween mask. And you too could be the 13-year-old that buys booze for all your friends. They said that major supermarket chains have begun testing an automated age verification system to avoid the wait for staff at self-checkouts when buying alcohol. And read that as, we fired all the cashiers. Now we are looking to completely fire all of the customer service in the store. Like, there were very few things that you need human interaction for, and that is a friction point, and that's something that grocery stores, at least in the UK, are looking to solve. So with that being said, let's see. So the trial will use cameras that can estimate each customer's age. It is part of the home office test of technologies to assist with the selling of alcohol. And if customers consent, the camera will guess their age using algorithms trained on a database of anonymous faces. If they decide they're under 25, they will need to show ID to a member of the staff. So step one of an eventual process that leads to even less people working in grocery stores. I mean, this could be a confidence boost. Like, imagine walking up to a cash register and being like, would you like to let us guess your age? And then you hit yes. And then it goes, wow, Ben, you're looking great. You're like 22 years old, right? And oh my God, I'd be so flattered. Oh, my heart. But of course, I could go the other way and say, Ben, you didn't get enough sleep last night. You didn't drink your water well. Are you 50? I think you're 50, Ben. And it would break my heart. I don't know. I don't know how accurate it is, but really, it seems like they just want to make sure you're over 25, maybe, I guess. And then over 25, you can buy your booze and, drink yourself into a stupor because the machine thought you were 83, when you were clearly not. So they said that waiting for age approval at the self-service checkout is sometimes frustrating for shoppers. Our age verification solutions are helping retailers like Asda meet the requirements of regulations worldwide and keep pace with consumer demands for fast and convenient service. I like that. Keep pace with consumer demands. It's like, hey, I need this booze. I need it fast. I can't be waiting 2 minutes to have people verify my age. It's like, I need to go. I need to drink immensely. And they said that the system will not retain the images it takes. So they've already tested on more than 125,000 faces aged 6 to 60. The algorithm, on average, guessed their age within 2.2 years, 1.5 among 16 to 20-year-olds. So this thing is fairly accurate. When it comes to ages. And 125 faces, or I should say 125,000 faces, that's a pretty good data set. It could be better, and I'm sure that people are underrepresented. I'm sure people of different complexion, people of different ethnicities might be underrepresented in those, in that data set, but it's a start, and I think that's the point. So there you go. And, people are privacy concerned, all that kind of thing. But hey, who knows? So there you go. Will this be successful? Who knows? But they're not the only ones working on it. I'm sure that Amazon just recently rolled out their first no cashier stores. And this is the technology they want to implement to make sure that if you're picking up alcohol, you are of an age to buy that alcohol. So there you have it. Okay, story number 4, story number 5. Let's go ahead and talk about, this is more of a question, and I'd love to hear from you. If you'd like to reach out on social media, if you'd like to come to the Twitch chat, completely your choice. We stream usually from like 10 to 4, Monday through Friday. But check this one out. Here's my question for you. Would you spend $500 a month for 500 megabits per second? Now, check that out. $500 per month for 500 megabits per second. That's a big price tag. I think in a lot of places, I'm not going to say who we have here, but we pay about $100 for like 350 megabits per second. And it's, that's the deal. But for that higher price tag and a $2,500 cost of equipment, you can tap into SpaceX's satellite internet and get that speed pretty much anywhere. They say advertised speed between 150 and 500 megabits per second with 20 to 40 millisecond latency, and that's fairly good, especially for satellite internet. And up from 50 to 250 promised by its regular service. Premium also claims roughly double the upload speed compared to 10 to 20 megabits per second for the standard tier. Now, instead of $500 for the hardware, $100 a month, you're paying $2,500 for the hardware and $500 a month. And let's face it, feel free to let me know. I'd love to hear if you would pay for this. But the reality of it is the people who are paying for this are the people who don't have any other option and want to run some kind of business. This is like a business expense. This would be a true just show of money. I would be surprised if anyone, who had any kind of fiber option available in their area would actually want to do that. Let's see. And actually, really, Grant in the chat room saying we pay $22 for 1,000 megabits per second. Yeah, well, not everyone can live in the utopia that is Lithuania. But still, $500 for 500 megabits per second seems pricey. But if you're on a boat in the middle of the ocean, hey, you could have this option. If you are in a rural city with no internet provider whatsoever, this would be an amazing option. If you were in a disaster relief zone and you had to have that kind of data capability, all the more power to you. There are a lot of situations where this makes a lot of sense. And I think it also helps Starlink and Elon Musk a little bit that there really aren't any other good solutions like this, because there is satellite internet, but a lot of those offer like upload speed of like 1.5 megabits per second. They offer download speed of like 15 megabytes per second on a good day. That's not including clouds, weather, nighttime, daytime, that whole thing. This is probably the best product in its field, but it's also very expensive. So and the upload speed, again, just for those who missed it, they're promising 20 to 40 megabits per second upload speed. So, and again, it's 150 to 500, so there's a lot of wiggle room for weather conditions and placement of equipment. So 150 to 500 download and 20 to 40 upload, which is still pretty good, especially for satellite to be able to upload at 40 megabits per second. That's pretty fair. That is pretty fair, and no data caps. They're saying, yep, there you have it. So, with that being said, the big question is whether the new premium tier is able to offer a more consistent service than what has already been experienced by Starlink. Although it was fast, the speed sometimes in excess of 100. We found that the connection would frequently slow down and drop out. It means that using services like Zoom or playing games online weren't really an option with satellite-based internet service. But with new hardware and hundreds of more satellites, just maybe, this will be a truly viable product for people who have no other options. So there you go. Okay, we have time for 2 more stories, and then we're going to go ahead and wrap this up real quick. But this is for people who really enjoy privacy. And honestly, kudos to Mozilla for doing this. Firefox's anti-tracking feature adds per-account VPN for more privacy. So it's not even like they're offering a VPN that you can connect through, and go to services, and it's like, oh, Ben's IP address went here, went to this VPN, whatever, so on and so forth. Now every single person gets their own VPN that they can access through the client itself, and that's really cool. So Mozilla is combining its multi-account containers add-on with its VPN service, which lets you keep your online personas, such as your work and personal browsing histories, separate. They're saying that it's been available as an add-on since 2017, and now they're making it a standard feature. But using the add-on with Mozilla VPN comes with distinct advantages. The option to hide your location across containers. And they're explaining that you can connect each of your online personas with a different server. For example, if you're traveling abroad but want to check your online bank account back at home, you can use the add-on to browse for local shops in one tab and manage your personal finances in a server near your hometown. I'm sure that a lot of people have run into this. It's one of the key identifiers that institutions will kind of block your account, saying that, Ben's in Germany all of a sudden. Well, time to block it. And to be fair, 95% of the time, that is a valid concern, being in a location that you weren't before. But when you're traveling, when you're doing things that would trip up basic security features, a VPN can be very helpful for that as well. And I think coming up here soon, we're going to have an interview with Opera, which is a competitor to Mozilla, who has their own take on privacy and new web features and stuff like that. So stay tuned to our program as we kind of get the ball rolling. I would love to have Mozilla on to talk about what these VPNs do. So with that being said, Mozilla offers instruction on how to add multi-account containers to Mozilla VPN. Although Mozilla VPN is still fairly new, it has unique features and might make the feature easily accessible to more users with more serious privacy concerns. And yeah, I think that Mozilla rolling everything in and making everything integrated at the service level is definitely a good move. So check that out. Now, with that being said, let's go ahead and finish up with our last story. And, well, a good thing and a bad thing, a scary thing and an exciting thing all rolled into one. DeepMind AI, if that rings a bell, it's because it is the system that Google has been developing for quite a while now to do multiple tasks. You may remember AlphaGo, which was playing Go against some of the world champions, beat them at Go. DeepMind AI has been used in cancer research. It's been used in glaucoma research. It's been used in, so many different applications. I think it even used it to identify parts of the Amazon rainforest that were being deforested and help bring light to that. There's a lot of different uses, and looks like one of the next ones that it can put, imagine like a sash with Boy Scout merit badges. The next merit badge that DeepMind AI will have for itself is, competitive coder. Saying that the DeepMind has announced a big achievement in competitive computer programming after simulating 10 contests with more than 5,000 participants. AI system AlphaCode has ranked in the top 54% of competitors, saying that there was still work to do to bring it up to the same level as the top of the performers. But hey, in the top half, in the top 2,500, that's not nothing. And these are people who can code. You wouldn't enter a contest like this if you were like me and code? Sure, maybe. No, these are people that legitimately can code, and it's in the top half of competitive coders. So they're saying that, unfortunately, the abilities could not be immediately applied to other forms of coding, but the problems in the competitions are not seen by the AI during training. So solving them requires a combination of critical thinking, logic, algorithms, coding, and natural language understanding. Typical problems include finding ways to place roads and buildings within certain constraints, or creating strategies to win board games. So that's the situation they kind of gave 5,000 people, 4,999 and one AI, and they had to create a code to think of all the variables and output something that would be a viable solution to this. They said that, quote, "I have been fascinated by programming competitions my whole life. Being part of the team that built AlphaCode was a dream come true, but he had never expected to achieve human average amongst competitors." That really is something very impressive. And they said that I can safely say that the results of AlphaCode exceeded my expectations. I was skeptical because even in simple competitive problems, it is often required not only to implement the algorithm, but to also invent it. So it's not like Google could just go to GitHub and pull relevant things and mash them together and be like, this is my solution. No, you needed an innate understanding of the problem like a human would think, and then an innate understanding of how the programming language works, and then mix those two together to come up with a solution that fit the problem. It was very, very impressive. Clearly, you can do better than this AI. Many people did better than this AI, but on average, it did slightly better than the average human. And that's something that's exciting. The future where computers can make programs themselves. You as a human can go to a service like AlphaCode and say, I want to make a video game with pirates and swords, and it's going to be awesome. There's going to be race cars and dragons, and hey, throw in a couple spaceships here and there. And, you can keep describing and throwing out terms and, just kind of in basic human language, fleshing out what you want, how you want it, what you want to include in it. And eventually out will come a code and maybe even a fully functional product. We are very, very far from anything like that, but we now have technology that at least gets us on the same page. And that's exciting. So everyone, with that being said, I think we're just about done for the show today. I hope that you had fun. This was a lot of fun for me. And yeah, we didn't make it under the 30 minutes. I tried my best, everyone. With that, computeramerica.com. If you want to find these stories and more, we'll have them in the show notes. Until next time, have a great day. Thank you for tuning in. And hey, be sure to catch us here next time, Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern, right here on twitch.tv/computeramerica. Everyone, have a great day. Bye-bye.